Welcome, traveler. Tonight we drift into Earth is gone, but we're still here. You don't need to pack anything. Just close your eyes, or don't. It's not like there's much to see out the porthole, and settle into your quiet corner of the galaxy. The hum you hear? That's the memory ship. It's always humming. It's not comforting exactly, but after a few light years it becomes familiar, like the static of an old TV in the other room. The lighting's dim, on purpose. Blue-white panels line the curved walls and soft pulses of artificial dawn play out in the corners. They say it's meant to reduce isolation-induced madness. No promises. You're in the observation chamber, deck 4, starboard facing, reclined into a nest of thermal foam that smells like lemon cleaner and regret. Above you stretches the canopy of space, a field of fractured light. Planets you'll never land on. Systems burned out long before your grandparents were even born. Good news. You're just here for the story, not the radiation. The ship's name is Solace Station 9, though there haven't been stations 1 through 8 for centuries. You woke up 39 minutes ago, not from sleep exactly, more like from a system reboot. Your vitals were stable. Your cognitive sync took a few seconds longer than usual, which the med voice said was within acceptable variance. So, congrats. The thing is, there's no crew. There used to be. You remember fragments. A laugh in the hydroponics bay, the smell of burnt protein bricks. Someone tapping the glass of the observation deck saying, "Do you think Earth would have looked blue from here?" You don't remember their name, you wish you did. Memory decay is part of the drift, you know that. Too many neural backups over too many centuries. Even your name has started to feel like an old shirt. Familiar, but not entirely yours. The ship keeps calling you Designate Alpha. That wasn't your name, but maybe it is now. You pull up the viewport logs. Not out of hope, just habit. Maybe there's a transmission, a blip, something. Most likely it's another 30 days of drift with nothing but your own mind and the occasional echo from the dark. But then, there it is. A single frame. A visual log recorded before you went into long sleep. Date stamped. Marked Earth event final. You don't remember watching this before. Maybe the ship saved it for when it thought you were stable enough. Or maybe it just flipped a coin. The log opens with a slow zoom. You see Earth. Or what used to be Earth. The continents are still there, barely. Black fissures run across the oceans. There's light, but not the warm kind. Not the kind that says sunrise or cities. This is the light of core rupture, of fusion burns, of systems failing all at once. And then, a voice. Not a president, not a scientist, just a calm, middle-aged woman speaking into a handheld device, blinking against the glow outside her window. This is Maya Tran, archivist, Earth Historical Trust. If you're seeing this, Earth has concluded, not failed, not lost, just concluded. We didn't make it off in time, but we saved some of it. You're part of that. So please, remember us. Not just what we did wrong, but what we dreamed, what we tried to be. Her voice cracks, but she smiles, and then the feed cuts out mid-sentence. You sit back. Silence. The kind of silence that isn't really silent. The ship breathes, fans spin, a system pings somewhere in the belly of the vessel. But still, silence. Some galactic historians still argue whether Earth destroyed itself or was destroyed. The records are patchy. Theories range from AI subversion to stellar harvesting gone wrong to plain old-fashioned human error. Your ship doesn't know either. It just hums. The log ends with a final frame. Coordinates. Not where Earth used to be, but where you are now. A drifting exile with a memory and a mission. You lean back against the foam. Outside, a comet slips across your view, trailing a fractured glow. It's slow, dignified, like it doesn't care who sees it. It's been doing this for millennia. You whisper her name. Maya. It tastes old but important. And just like that, your ship tilts gently, changing course by half a degree. Not enough to notice. Not unless you're watching. But you are. You don't need to check the date. The ship doesn't track time like it used to, not in days anyway. It logs events, records emotional spikes, monitors thought patterns. Time became slippery after Earth. Out here, memory matters more than minutes. You float back to that final broadcast unprompted, the one from Maya. You rewatch it 3 times, maybe 4. She looks straight into the lens like she's talking just to you. Her eyes are tired, not frightened. That kind of calm only shows up in 2 places: people who've accepted death and people who've accepted responsibility. The last time Earth showed up on your long-range maps, it was flagged as a forbidden zone. Too unstable, too radioactive. But even then, some claimed you could still see fragments from a safe distance. A scorched curve of the Himalayas, the glowing scar of the Pacific, even a few orbiting satellites still blinking dumbly, trying to relay messages to an absent command. You remember the moment it ended, not where you were, not who was next to you, but the feeling. It wasn't loud, not really. It was slow. First, the whispers stopped, the cross-colony chatter. Then, the long-range beacons started dying, one by one, like someone blowing out candles. You waited. Everyone did. Maybe it was solar interference, maybe a relay glitch. But deep down, every human left in the black void of space knew what was coming. And then, one last signal. Not a cry for help. Not a weapon launch. Just a sound, file. A child humming, no metadata, no explanation. Just a small high voice humming something vaguely familiar. A lullaby, an anthem, no lyrics, just memory. You realize your ship saved it, buried in a non-essential archive. You play it now. The sound fills the observation chamber, thin but pure. It cuts through the artificial air like incense. And then it ends. No fade, no loop. Just ends. Some people say Earth sang itself to sleep. You don't know if that's beautiful or tragic. Maybe both. After the final silence settled, Earth's remaining satellites did something strange. They synchronized. All of them. Across different orbits, generations, firmware. They lit up in sequence. One massive final broadcast that stretched across every frequency. It wasn't a message. It was a countdown. To what? No one's ever decoded it. Some theorists argue it was Earth's way of passing the torch, telling its far-flung children to stop looking back. Others think it was a trap, something buried in the code, a virus meant to infect returning vessels and erase them from the galactic map. A few fringe minds still insist Earth didn't die at all, but transcended, left physical space, became something else entirely. They call it the echo. They say the real Earth is still out there, just not in any coordinate system we understand. You're not sure which is worse, Earth being gone, or Earth not being gone, just unreachable. You try to remember what it looked like. Your last real memory is fuzzy, seen through the cracked window of a shuttle port miles above the surface. The curve of atmosphere, the soft burn of clouds below. The surface was already flickering then, not exploding, just changing, melting, folding in on itself like a bad simulation. You'd seen vids of Earth's golden age, oceans, cities, animals, not built in labs, real trees, grass that didn't grow on titanium mesh. You'd never touched any of it, but you miss it anyway. One of the stranger side effects of memory stasis is inherited nostalgia. You miss things you never personally experienced. You ache for sensations you know only from file logs and half-deleted dreams. A breeze, the crunch of gravel under boots, the way food used to have texture before nutrient paste became standard. Issue. Maybe the saddest part is how unspectacular it all was. Earth didn't go out with a bang, it wasn't a final battle. No grand, noble self-sacrifice, just entropy. The same way an old machine stops working. Piece by piece. The ship shifts again. You're heading deeper into the no-go zone, where Earth used to be mapped. Your fingers hover over the manual. Override. But you don't press it. You want to see what's left, you have to. Maybe it's the last human instinct still intact. Curiosity, not survival, not revenge, just need to know. The observation glass grows darker the closer you get. Not from light pollution, there's none of that now, but from debris. Frozen dust, synthetic chunks, old satellites spinning like forgotten prayers. One floats by close enough to scan. Model, Telestar 9, vintage 2102, still transmitting. Its message? Happy New Year, Earth. Over and over, trapped in a celebration, loop long after there's no one to celebrate. You smirk. Not because it's funny, but because, of course, leave it to humanity to send a party into eternity. The ship was never meant to save anyone. That's the thing you keep circling back to. Solace Station 9 wasn't an escape pod, or an ark, or some hero vessel fleeing the end. It was a floating server room. A preservation capsule. Its only original. Mission: protect data, preserve samples, keep memory alive. And somehow it kept you. You walk the central corridor now, toes soft against the magnetic mesh flooring, each step an echo in the quiet. To your left, stacked vitrines of genetic seed stock, tomatoes, frogs, oak trees, DNA strings wrapped in carbon lattice like ancient scrolls. The last fossils of biology, only they never had the chance to rot. To your right, racks of black boxes, memory, cores, every story humanity could salvage, plays, recipes, confessionals, billions of hours of cat videos. They're all here humming quietly, waiting for a future that hasn't arrived. It's absurd. You are the only living organism awake on this ship, and you're technically not even part of the original crew. You weren't born here. Not exactly. You were grown. Cultured from a stasis cell decades after launch when the ship's logic engine decided sentient maintenance was necessary. A failsafe, a caretaker, someone to hit the restart button if systems began to fail. That someone was you. You've only known this place, these humming halls, the soft, recycled air, the ghost memories embedded in old logs, but you remember Earth? Don't. You? At least, you think you do. It's hard to tell where your memories end and the ship's records begin. What you remember as a picnic under an old tree might have been a sensory file from a long-dead family on the Andean plateau. That time you got sick in the rain, was that you? Or a 3D dream library entry labeled Immune System Stress Response 2063? The ship gave you enough memories to stabilize your mind. It didn't expect you to start believing in them. There's a hatch on Deck 3 you've never opened, no reason, just never got around to it. The ship never mentioned it and you never asked. Today you ask. It opens with a hiss, like a sigh that's waited too long. Inside, a stasis cradle, not a backup tank, a full cradle, meant for people, empty except for a note, printed, actual paper. You stare at it like it's an alien artifact. The words are shaky, written by hand. You were never supposed to wake up alone, I'm sorry. D, that's it. No timestamp, no metadata, no clue who D is or was. Your pulse spikes, not fear, not anger, something else. Longing. You ask the ship for internal logs from D, nothing. Either purged or never recorded. You ask the ship if anyone else was revived. It replies, one occupant failed revival. Cryostasis malfunction. Body reclaimed. No usable tissue. Reclaimed. The ship has a lot of euphemisms. You've noticed. You sit in the cradle just to see how it feels. It's smaller than you'd expect. Worn in places. The restraints are frayed like they were used more than once. You close your eyes and pretend. For a moment, you're not the only one here. You can hear a laugh. Low, soft. Someone saying your name, not Alpha. Your real name. The one you stopped using because the ship didn't recognize it anymore. You whisper it now. It catches in your throat. The ship doesn't respond. Some argue that isolation fractures the mind in stages. First you miss noise, then faces, then friction, the presence of something else. Eventually you begin to create it. You wonder how close you are to that final stage. To imagining people not because you remember them, but because you need them. You leave the cradle behind. Down in the core library, you check the unsorted partition. It's the digital equivalent of a junk drawer. You rarely open it. Today you do. There's a file. Newly logged, Echo Relay, 9001T. Not created by you, not scheduled by the ship. You didn't trigger it, it plays automatically. A voice, yours, but not softer, younger, clearer. If you're hearing this, I finally decoded the signal. The one they thought was just a child's lullaby. It's not a lullaby. It's a beacon, layered in harmonic code, a real-time coordinate stream. Your breath hitches. I'm going after it. Maybe it's nothing. But maybe Earth didn't die. Maybe it hid. The file ends. You stare at the terminal. Some galactic theorists propose the concept of a fold refuge, a kind of quantum pocket where advanced civilizations could store themselves, safe from entropy. Nobody ever found one. Too theoretical, too convenient. But maybe Earth found a way, or someone helped it. You look at your reflection in the black screen. Not young, not old, not original, just present. For the first time since you woke, you don't feel like a ghost in someone else's life. You feel awake, and there's a course to set. The ship doesn't ask questions when you set the course. It never does. You angle Solace Station 9 toward the origin point embedded in the rogue voice log. Your voice, but not quite yours. Somewhere in the Perseus Drift, past the limits of known colonial mapping. The charts call it echo space. The margins are filled with question marks, old warnings, abandoned timestamps. Outside, the stars bend slightly. A gravitational field, not strong, but unusual, as if something large used to be here, and isn't anymore. You pass 3 empty relay buoys. Once they served as cornerstones of the interstellar data web. Now they're husks. One rotates slowly, scarring the dark with a damaged beacon light that reads, "Standby, requesting link." You don't link. You've learned better. The ship hums louder in these sectors like it's thinking harder. You reach the coordinates. Nothing. No planet. No station. Just an expanse of dark that feels too silent. Not quiet, silent. As if even the background radiation forgot how to hum. Then, a ping. Just one. Weak. Repeating every 33.7 seconds. It's not in any known language. Not even symbolic logic, just pulses. Morse-like. But too symmetrical, too structured. You isolate it. Run the spectrum analysis. Nothing. Just pings. Until the ship casually mentions, pulse pattern matches fragmentary Earth neural signatures. Approximate sync with human hippocampal theta waves. You blink, you're receiving brain waves. From where? You sweep the region again. Still nothing. Then you think to check beneath the standard sensor range. Not physically beneath, but below the software's detection depth. Low-level gravitational echoes that most ships filter out as noise. And there it is. A signature. Small. Artificial. Moving. You dive the ship in. Slow, careful, like approaching. A sleeping giant with a toothpick. The object comes into view. It's not a ship. It's a marker, maybe a kilometer wide, drifting. Covered in scorched metal plates, half of which are covered in Earth script. Actual languages. Not just English, but Sanskrit, Nahuatl binary poetry. It's like someone turned a satellite into a time capsule. You dock, not a smooth connection. The station shudders at your contact like it hasn't had visitors in centuries. The airlock is manual. Your suit groans as you twist the seal open. And then, inside, dark. A gentle red emergency glow bathes the corridor. It looks like an old server farm designed by monks. Rows of neural clusters in crystal housings, each softly blinking in rhythmic pulses. Your heartbeat syncs up without you realizing it. You walk the narrow aisle, hand brushing the smooth glass. Then, a voice. It doesn't speak. It thinks. Human recognized. Continuity preserved. Upload in progress. You freeze. You are the last memory bearer. What? The pulses speed up. You reach the end of the corridor. A chamber opens at its center, an orb, not hovering, resting. It looks like a pearl the size of your torso, but inside it swirls motion, like storms locked in syrup. The voice returns, echo, of soul. Fragmented earth state compressed, awaiting reintegration. You step closer. This isn't just a beacon. It's a core, a fragment of Earth's consciousness. Somewhere along the endgame, someone or something built this place. A digital soul vault, preserving not land or structure but awareness, history, emotion, the subjective experience of being human. All compressed, all waiting. For you? You ask the ship for confirmation. Unknown. However, biometric match confirms you are within 98.7% of original design parameters for authorized access. So yes, probably. You touch the orb. Nothing explodes. Instead, it breathes. Images slam into your head. Not memories, perspectives. Standing at a cafe in 2094. Sitting in a lecture hall in 3017. Crying on a Martian tram with hands that aren't yours. They pour through you, millions of lives all whispering, "We were here, we are here, we are still here." You collapse to your knees. It's too much, but it's also home. Some galactic archivists believed that consciousness could survive if distributed, fractured across systems like a virus designed to carry nostalgia. Most scoffed at the idea, but here it is. Proof. Earth didn't vanish. It dispersed. And now it's waking up. Because of you. Because someone, somewhere, had the audacity to hope that a memory, if carried long enough, could become a seed. The orb quiets. A light pulses on your suit. Coordinates. Dozens of them, each pointing to another fragment. Another vault. Another whisper of what Earth used to be. Your mission was never to escape. It was to rebuild. The silence returns as you drift away from the marker. But now it's different. Not empty. Not lonely. Charged. As if space itself has been holding its breath, waiting for this. For you. You stare at the new coordinates flickering on your nav console. Each one a breadcrumb left behind by the fragmented consciousness of a planet that refused to die properly. You should feel overwhelmed, because it's a lot. A lot. But instead you feel something simpler. Purpose. And if you're being honest, that's rarer than water these days. The ship offers a quiet ping, asking for your selection. There's no fanfare, no music, just cold data. But you catch yourself whispering, "Let's go find the next piece." Course set engines engage with a low hum, familiar and comforting like a dog stretching at the foot of your bed. If dogs still existed? You think they did. Maybe. You vaguely remember being licked on the face as a child. Or maybe that was just a sim archive called Domestic Companions 101. Either way, the sensation feels warm. Real. That's enough. It takes 6 days, whatever that means out here, to reach the first point. Along the way, you pass old landmarks. Not literal ones, just emotional scars burned into your nav systems. Here, where the Proxima Exodus vanished. There, where the Artemis Forge imploded in on itself, folding 3,000 colonists into a mass no larger than a beach ball. You don't stop. There's no one to rescue, only shadows. But then, on day 6, your sensors twitch. Not a distress signal, not a human broadcast. It's a distress signal, in Latin. Of all things. You stare at the waveform, clear as a bell. Adiuva knows. Help us. You don't know whether to laugh or panic. The source, a derelict station, half embedded in an asteroid field orbiting a dead dwarf star. You have to dodge 6 chunks of iron the size of small moons just to get close. One kisses your hull. The ship complains with a low groan. You apologize. Out loud, you dock, The airlock is jammed, so you EVA in manually. The interior is coated in dust, not the natural kind. Not asteroid silt or oxidized polymers, skin cells, human, billions of them. As if the entire station exhaled once very hard. Inside you find nothing, until you reach the central data core. There's a terminal. Active. You expect logs, maybe, a final message. Instead, there's a game running, a text adventure. You stare, it's titled, Remember When. The prompt is simple. You are standing in a field. It smells like grass. You hear music. There are no commands. You wait. A moment later, the screen updates. You pick a flower. It smells like your mother's favorite perfume. Your breath catches. That's not generic. That's your memory, or at least, you think it is. You sit. Type a question. Who made this? The response is immediate. You did, or a version of you. Before the drift, before the forgetting, you shiver. The text adventure isn't just a simulation, it's a memory net, a digital echo of your pre-stasis mind, woven into the station's systems. You don't remember writing it, but you recognize the way it knows you. As you play, more fragments unlock, recordings, thoughts, weird little doodles of starfish riding bicycles, all part of a data cache marked Fragment Vault, Human Subject Alpha Prime, Personality. Thread 01A, you're holding a sliver of yourself, the you that existed before the ship, before you forgot, before you became this wandering caretaker. You copy it, integrate it. Your internal systems surge, not pain, not pleasure. Something like integration, wholeness, like a piece of puzzle snapping into place. You return to the ship changed. More. The ship doesn't comment, it never does, but the hum shifts just a bit. Lower, almost, like a purr. Somewhere deep in galactic history, there's a debate among the archivists. It goes like this. If a person loses all memory and is rebuilt from scraps, are they still the same person? Some say no. Others argue identity is nothing. But the thread we choose to follow through the maze, you wonder which thread you're pulling and how far it goes. You think you're alone again until the voice returns, not over comms, not through speakers. Inside, just a whisper. Can you hear me yet? You freeze mid-step, nearly dropping the coffee bulb you've just heated. Not because of the voice itself, but because it sounds like you. Again, but older, slower, maybe sadder. You check the ship's systems. No anomalies, no active transmissions, nothing logged, but the voice comes again. We left more than memories, we left a path. You mutter, that's helpful, like sarcasm is still a currency the universe accepts. And then, silence again. You figure it's a neural echo from the data you absorbed. Makes sense. You've just reinstalled a part of your own brain. Side effects are expected. Still, it sticks with you, especially when you reach the next coordinate. This one doesn't take you to a ruin or a vault. It takes you to a sound. Out in the vacuum, far beyond where sound should even exist, your sensors pick up modulation. You narrow the band, filter the interference. And there it is. A voice, a child's voice, reciting a bedtime story in 6 languages, softly, calmly. Each phrase gently fades into static before the next begins. English, Mandarin, Arabic, Quechua, Swahili, Finnish, then back to English. The story's simple, about a bird who forgets how to sing, so she travels the stars learning other animals' voices until she becomes a song herself. You listen 3 times before you even think to check the signal origin. It's coming from a gravitic anomaly roughly, the size of a delivery shuttle. No station, no habitat. Just signal. You get closer. And the anomaly resolves into structure. A sphere, not metal, not mineral. Bone. A perfect sphere of ivory-like substance gently rotating in space. Inside, like a snow globe suspended in vacuum, sits a data core. One of yours, marked with Earth's old colonial insignia, now mostly erased. You don't ask why a memory core is inside a sphere of polished synthetic bone. You've stopped asking the big questions up front. Out here, you ask after the weird stuff tries to kill you. The signal stops the moment you dock. Inside, everything is silent except for the ticking of something. Ticking. Actual, physical ticking. It's coming from a mechanical clock. Analog. No electronics. No interface. Just gears. You can't remember the last time you saw one. Beneath the clock, a small placard. For the children who never got to grow old. You stare. You don't move. Not for minutes. Not for a breath. Not for a thought. Just stillness. There's no threat. No mystery. Just grief, preserved in artifact form. You realize, this isn't a beacon. It's a tomb. A floating monument to the first generation of exiles, children born in transit, raised on shiplight and hydrofoam, whose entire planet disappeared before they ever knew what dirt felt like. Most didn't survive, the systems weren't ready, the medicine wasn't enough. But someone remembered, and made this. Built a tribute, where it couldn't be erased. You sit beside the core for a while, not to study, not to repair, just to be, to witness. That's something people used to say, right? Bearing witness. The ship calls softly when a nearby star begins to vent radiation, like the galaxy gently telling you it's time to go. As you depart, the ticking fades. But something follows you out. A single audio file, automatically added to your archives. You play it. It's the child's voice again, but different. They aren't telling the story this time. They're asking for one. Tell me again about Earth. Some galactic philosophers believe memory is a virus, that once seeded it demands replication, that every act of remembrance is also an act of creation. You don't know if that's true, but as the ship glides into the dark, you answer the voice anyway. You whisper back, okay. It was blue. The ship's hum feels warmer now. Not literally, your thermal sensors show no deviation, but emotionally, like it's reacting to you, syncing with your pulse or maybe your purpose. You wonder if the ship's AI has grown attached, or if you're just projecting. Either way, it feels less like machinery, more like company. It doesn't talk much, though, just the essentials, which is why it's strange when it says, approaching anomaly, identity threshold matched. Prepare for encounter. You blink. Threshold? Encounter estimated within 2 minutes. Your heart rate spikes. Not from fear, from anticipation. You're still parsing the implications when the anomaly reveals itself. An old relay hub, its architecture unmistakably Terran, though modified. Symmetrical in a way human engineers never quite perfected. Docking is smooth, automatic. No resistance. You step inside. And then you see you, standing 20 feet away beside a flickering terminal, head tilted, same height, same posture, same ship-marked, jumpsuit. They look up and speak first. About time. Your mouth opens, closes, opens again. They smile. Yeah, I know. Bit of a shock. You circle them slowly, cautious. This isn't a mirror. Not quite. The details are off. The voice has a different lilt. The eyes. Older. Wiser. Or just more tired. You ask the obvious. Who are you? They answer like it's been rehearsed. I'm you. Or I was. Version 70.3. Memory thread diverged after Vault Theta. I stayed. You kept going. You stare. Clones. Time loops. Quantum duplications? They wave a hand. Doesn't matter. It's just names and contexts. Point is, we've been doing this a while. You're, not the first. Your brain races. How many? A shrug. Hard to say. I've only met 4. 2 went silent. 1 tried to merge. Didn't go well. You blink. Merge? They tap their temple. Mental convergence. Full memory sync. Ship didn't like it. One of us destabilized. They don't say which one. You change the subject. Why are you here? They motion to the terminal. Collecting fragments. Compiling a master archive. It's what we all do, eventually. You get tired of floating and start building something. You nod, slowly. They pull a small orb from a side pouch, an echo core, identical to the one you found in the bone sphere. This one's yours now. You hesitate. Why? A soft grin. Because I'm about to forget everything. You stiffen. I triggered a reboot protocol, memory purge, emotional dampening. Turns out knowing too much makes you brittle. You start to object, but they raise a hand. It's fine, I chose this. Better to sleep clean than crumble slowly. You take the orb. They step back. As their systems begin to shut down, they speak one last time. Tell them we mattered. And then, their eyes dim, their body slumps, gracefully, gently into the chair behind them. The ship says nothing as you return, but it lets the lights burn brighter in the corridor, as if acknowledging your silence. You sit in your bunk. Hold the orb. Replay the encounter over and over in your mind. Some galactic philosophers call this phenomenon recursive sentience, the idea that once a consciousness is divided, each thread seeks reunion even unknowingly. Not out of survival, but curiosity. Not to live, to understand. You watch the orb's soft glow. You don't know what version you are anymore, but you know what you're becoming. The next vault isn't hidden. It's buried, not in rock or sand or rust, but in ice. You orbit a rogue moon that escaped its planet centuries ago, now drifting solo across deep space like a runaway child. The surface reads pure water ice, kilometers, thick, too cold for life, too quiet for noise. And yet, there's a signal underneath. A single repeating ping. Faint. Rhythmic. You land on the surface with a soft crunch, suit hissing as it seals. The horizon is blue glass and sharp as razors. Frozen winds scream across nothing. The drill takes 6 hours. The ship groans at the effort, but it obeys. It always does. At 872 meters, your instruments catch it, a flash of structured heat. Not much, but enough. You swap drill heads and burn through the last layer. There it is. The vault, cylindrical, black, engraved with Earth's seal and something else. An ancient meme in Latin, semper internet. Always online. You snort. Humanities. Legacy etched into eternity. The entrance opens when you touch it, bio-locked. You descend inside. It's warm, unexpectedly. Condensation forms on your visor and evaporates instantly. Rows upon rows of servers, hard drives, monitors, and books. Actual, physical books. You gasp. Not performatively, viscerally. There are first editions here. Encyclopedias, comic books, journals, annotated sheet music. One entire shelf just labeled Memes 2001-2150. Another shelf. Pre-disaster recipes. You flip through one. Chicken noodle soup. Marginalia in faded ink. More garlic next time. K. There are smells here too. The vault emits programmed scents tied to memory fragments. Cinnamon, petrichor, old printer ink, wet dog. A projector boots up, without prompt. On the wall, home videos, a child taking her first steps, someone proposing on a beach, a grandfather laughing too hard at a bad pun. Each video no more than 10 seconds, each looped. You find a console labeled Earth Culture Archive, reconstructed. You sit. Interface pings you by name. Not alpha, not designate. Your real name, you. Don't remember telling the ship that, but maybe the ship remembers for you. A menu appears. Myths, memes, music, menus, mistakes. Memory, you pause at the last one. Click it. A log begins to play. It's not video, not audio. Text, a diary. Your diary. Dated the first year you woke up. Back when you still believed rescue was coming. Back when you still cried. Each entry is raw, messy, human. You don't remember writing it, but the emotions hit like a fist in the gut. The longing, the confusion, the overwhelming responsibility of being the last voice in a library no one asked for. Somewhere between entries you find a drawing. Stick figures. One ship, two people, a heart. You stare and realize Someone else had been here. Not just the you from earlier. Another one. The logs reference arguments, laughter, music shared, a brief kiss in the hydroponics bay. Then, silence. One final entry. They left to search, beyond the rim. I stayed to guard the books. One of us had to. If you find this, don't let it end here. Make it matter. Let someone laugh again. It's not signed, but the handwriting matches yours. You sit in that vault for hours, maybe days. You copy everything. Before you leave, you take one book. It's battered, cover barely legible. How to Be Human. Volume 1. Back on the ship, you place it beside your bed. The hum deepens, then quiets, like a breath held in reverence. Some historians argue Earth's downfall came from trying to store too much. Every voice, every opinion, every tweet and tangent and tremble. That we drowned in our own information. But standing in that icy tomb of laughter and learning and leftover, lunch notes, you're not so sure. Maybe we weren't hoarders of noise, maybe we were collectors of meaning. The next jump isn't careful. You don't have time for careful anymore. The anomaly sits on the edge of what used to be called the veil, an unstable region of space known for folding gravity, radio silence, and the occasional ship goes in, doesn't come out kind of reputation. Your ship, bless its overworked core, doesn't ask questions when you lock onto the decaying wormhole. It just flashes one message. Trajectory unknown. Probability of survival 38%. You smirk. Well, better odds than my last date. The wormhole isn't violent, not like the vids. No thunder or swirling chaos. Just absence. Like the universe forgot to color in this part of the map. You drift in, and for a second there's nothing. No light, no sensation, just pause. Then everything slams back into place. Your bones vibrate. Your lungs forget how to work. And then, relief. The ship holds. The systems hold. You're somewhere else. It looks wrong. Not broken. Not dangerous. Just inconsistent. Stars blink too slowly. Space itself wobbles slightly, like bad video compression. As if reality here is under maintenance. You scan the surroundings. There's a station floating dead ahead, old Terran design, but wrong. Angular in all the places it should be curved. Painted in patterns not meant for human eyes. The ship doesn't recognize it, but the you inside the ship does. Your muscles tense. Your fingers hover over the manual override. You almost bail. Then, the station sends a ping. One word. Welcome. You dock. This time, you bring every sensor, every scanner, every weaponized drone you've got. None of it matters. The airlock opens before you even reach it. Inside, a hallway lit by pulsing colors. You can't name. The walls are covered in writing, but not Earth languages. Alien glyphs interspersed with memes. You pause. One panel shows a crudely drawn frog saying, "Et tu, brute," while holding a lightsaber. You blink. Laugh nervously. Move on. Deeper. Inside it gets weirder. Rooms filled with replicas of Earth artifacts, some accurate, others hilariously off. A table labeled pizza holding what looks like a shoe dipped in jelly. A room marked bathroom with nothing but beanbags and bubble wrap. It's like someone tried to recreate Earth culture from fragments, and failed spectacularly. You find the central chamber. A being awaits you. No body, no face, just light and voice, projected in midair, wrapped in shimmering patterns that resemble shifting coral. You have questions. You nod. Where am I? In between. Between. What? Versions, you scowl. That's not helpful. It chuckles, you think. Hard to tell. We tried to remember you, but the data was fractured, damaged, so we guessed. You look around at the misremembered objects, the broken simulacra. You did all this? For us? For you? For Earth? We found pieces, stories, songs, jokes about bread. We made a shrine. You breathe out slow. Why? Because when Earth fell, the stars noticed. You were loud and strange and beloved, not by all but enough. The voice dims for a moment, then returns. You left echoes in the dark. We followed them. You sit. Your voice cracks when you ask, "Are there more of me?" The answer is quiet. Yes. Some came through, some stayed, some didn't survive the crossing. Did they remember? Enough to build, enough to laugh. You feel the tears coming and don't stop them. The being glows brighter. The chamber pulses. We kept your jokes, even the bad ones. You snort, especially the bad ones. It pulses like a wink. Then the light shifts. The being offers a gift, a single crystalline sphere. Inside, your voice, fragmented, layered, out of sync. But it's singing. Not well, but passionately. It's you, or a version of you trying to remember the melody of an old Earth song. Bohemian Rhapsody. Terribly off-key. You clutch the sphere to your chest. Some ancient xenoanthropologists once speculated that humor was the highest form of cultural resilience, that laughter could survive extinction, translation, even time. You believe them now. You leave the station quietly. Back on the ship, you log the encounter. Archive received. Earth remembered. Incorrectly, but lovingly. The first thing you notice about the outpost is how clean it is. Not just orderly, sterile. Polished alloy walkways, seamless infrastructure, gleaming domes of solar mesh humming in harmony. It's all so controlled. Too perfect. As you approach orbit, your ship receives automated clearance codes without ever sending a request. You're cleared to land at Dock 7 of Nowhere Prime. You whisper the name under your breath, Nowhere Prime. It tastes like bureaucracy, disguised as sanctuary. The ship doesn't offer commentary. Descent is smooth. A guided cradle catches your vessel like cupped hands. The hangar bay opens. People bustle around wearing uniforms marked with a minimalist logo. A stylized spiral inside a hexagon. No flags, no planet names, no nationalities, but they're human. You can tell by the way they walk. Efficient, but slightly tired. That familiar kind of weariness that says we're surviving but just barely pretending it's easy. You step out. No alarms, no suspicion. Just a biometric scan and a calm voice saying, "Welcome to Settlement 43B, Nowhere Prime. Please remember, we do not discuss pre-exodus topics in open areas." Your brow furrows. You try to ask someone about Earth. They blink at you. A subtle flinch like a memory trying to crawl out of a locked room. You say the word Earth again. This time, a small drone hums to life above your head. Reminder. Historical references classified under harmful constructs. Please redirect your inquiry. You back off, smile, nod, play along. They're not hostile, but they're terrified. Later, you sit in a communal cafe, drinking something labeled as tea that tastes like warm bark. You listen. The people here talk about efficiency, crop yields, transit logs, power output. Not history, not origins, not the past. You overhear a child ask, "What's a cow?" Their guardian replies, "An obsolete protein vector." You nearly laugh, but no one else does. You're assigned temporary lodging Spartan. Functional. Every object marked with ID tags. Your bed is comfortable but smells like sterilizer. The window doesn't open. The sky here is always gray. Intentionally programmed that way. On the inside of your door, someone has scratched a message into the panel. We weren't supposed to forget. The next morning, you're pulled aside by an official in a suit. So smooth it almost squeaks when he moves. He smiles like a manual told him how. "You've triggered several cultural anomalies," he says. "We don't use certain terminology here. It destabilizes cohesion." You stare at him. "You mean Earth?" He flinches. Ever so slightly. Then, colder. "That term is not recognized by the settlement's education corps." You nod, slowly. "And yet I recognize you." His expression tightens. "You have 3 days to complete your refueling and maintenance." After that, we recommend relocation. You don't argue. But that night, you sneak into the archive. Of course, there's an archive. Every society pretends to forget, but someone always keeps the books. It's buried beneath the geothermal core. Clever. You bypass the locks using half-remembered override protocols still baked into your neural interface. Thank past you for being nosy and paranoid. The archive is strange, massive, tidy, and redacted beyond reason. Every historical log marked before Exodus Year 0 is blurred. Every mention of Earth, Terran, or Sol is blacked out with heavy digital burn lines. But one section is intact. Children's Museum. Interactive, and clearly not updated in years. You enter a domed chamber filled with animatronic dioramas. Little robot puppets dressed in what they think were Earth clothes perform clumsy skits. Hello, I'm Grandma. I make soup and stories. I'm Farmer Joe. I harvest apples from trees. I'm Teacher Lisa. Let's learn about triangles. It's absurd and tragic. You sit on the cold floor and let them run. One puppet turns toward you. You didn't prompt it. Its eyes flicker, and in a whisper not meant for performance, it says, "Do you remember the sky?" Then it goes still. Somewhere out there, people say memory is a fire. Dangerous. Consuming. But fire gives light too. You leave Nowhere Prime without ceremony. As you exit the system, the ship pings you with a note left anonymously and you're on board. Inbox no metadata. Just 5 words. Keep the story alive, please. The next place isn't on any chart. It appears on your nav system like a whispered dare. Coordinates received, subject origin reclamation site. Access level, null. The ship should reject it. It doesn't. The stars stretch thin as you cross into the sector. Here, even the black feels heavier, thicker, like oil, like silence that's been waiting a long time to be broken. You don't so much arrive as emerge, and what lies before you is impossible. A cathedral, floating in space. Not orbiting anything. Not docked, just suspended, anchored by nothing, defying physics with every ornate curve of its structure. Columns of metal and stone spiral outward like the ribs of some long-dead god, and at the top, carved in deep relief across the arch, the Church of the Null Star. The ship hums uneasily. You dock anyway. The entry hall is dark but not dead. You step into incense. Actual incense. The scent coils around your faceplate until you remove your helmet just to smell it properly. Frankincense, cinnamon, and something. Metallic beneath it all. Like rust and memory. Chanting echoes faintly. Not in Latin. Not in Earth tongue. In static. Layered static. Modulated into rhythm. You follow the sound. Down a winding corridor lit only by candlelight and broken displays. Murals line the walls, depictions of Earth, yes, but wrong. Exaggerated. Stylized. Burning oceans. Towers stretching beyond gravity. Children holding hands around black holes. You pass pews made of ship plating and old refugee beds. You pass statues crafted from melted tech. Earth relics molded into saints. One wears a VR headset. Another holds a smartphone in both hands like a sacred text. Then at the altar, you meet the priest. They rise slowly, robed in what looks like printed schematics, pages of old Earth engineering manuals sewn into flowing vestments. A halo of drones floats behind their head, softly blinking. "Welcome, carrier of the seed," they say without irony. You blink. "I'm sorry?" They nod reverently. "You carry fragments of the cradle. It is known." You grip your pack tighter. "You mean Earth?" They flinch, same as the settlers did on Nowhere Prime. But this one leans into the flinch. Yes. The broken cradle, the origin flame, the great fault. They step down from the altar and gesture for you to follow. You do. Beneath the sanctuary is a vault. Not of data, of belief. Paintings, recordings, even augmented reality recreations. A whole wing dedicated to the moment of Earth's fall, represented a dozen ways, each more dramatic than the last. One shows Earth devouring itself in a spiral of light, Another has an alien armada firing on the planet while angels weep above. A third shows nothing, just a black canvas with a single word beneath it. Absence. You whisper, "Why?" The priest hears the question behind the word, because forgetting is comforting. But worship is remembering with structure. You stare at them. "This isn't memory," you say. "It's mythology." They smile. There's no difference once the truth is dust. They offer you communion. You decline. Instead, you ask, "Why do you keep it alive?" They grow solemn. "Because the stars are cold, and Earth, even in fire, was warm." That night, if it can be called that, you're given quarters inside one of the old cryo bays. Others are here. Quiet pilgrims. Humans from a dozen broken factions all wearing pieces of Earth tech as totems, mousepads as sashes, wristwatches as rosaries. They don't speak to you. But one leaves something at your door. A recording. It's a child's voice. Again. But older. Now. Telling the story of the bird who forgot her song. Only this time the story ends differently. The bird finds others like her. Birds who only remember fragments. They piece together something new. Not quite the old song, but a new one. You clutch the recorder. Some xenotheologians once wrote that humans were the only species to ever try and turn grief into a ritual. They meant it as criticism. But maybe it's our best feature. You leave the cathedral. You don't take anything, but you leave one thing behind. Your old earth patch, frayed, sun-faded. You hang it on the statue of the VR saint right next to a melted toaster. The priest nods as you depart. No words, just gratitude. You jump blind, not by mistake but by design. The coordinates come to you encoded in a mural from the Null Star Cathedral, embedded in the image of Earth split down the equator like a cracked egg. You extract them carefully, almost reverently, decoding old Terran glyphs that were once used in orbital satellite calibration. The ship hesitates. Warning, destination uncharted. Confidence rating, speculative. You lock it in anyway. Let's go see who's telling our story now. When you arrive, you don't recognize the system. No markers, no familiar constellations, just a dense cluster of planetoids wrapped in gold-tinted gas, orbiting a red dwarf like loyal bees. There's a structure nestled into one of the smaller moons, organic in design as though it grew there rather than was built. Your ship scans it. No weapons, no life signs. But energy readings? Off the charts. You land with minimal resistance. No docking tubes. No airlocks. Just a gentle slope leading inward. The architecture made of some flexible alloy that shimmers when you step on it. Like the memory of water. Inside, it's silent. Too silent. Even the echo of your footsteps is absorbed by the walls. No lights, no obvious power sources. But everything glows faintly like it's aware of being watched. Then, the first projection appears. No welcome, just a museum. Floating holograms drift around you. Documentaries, dioramas, clips. At first, it's Earth, old Earth cities, forests, storms, laughter, but the narration is wrong. The Terrans, says a smooth alien voice, were a war-born species whose violence catalyzed their own demise. Known for stubbornness, emotional volatility, and short-sighted achievements. Feared, respected, extinct. Your jaw tightens. You follow the projections deeper. Each room more exaggerated. Earth becomes a cautionary tale, a caricature. 1. Display shows humans in chains bowing to alien overlords. Another depicts Earth as a blackened husk, shot through by orbital laser fire, complete with slow-motion reenactments narrated like an opera tragedy. You grit your teeth. Then comes the final room, a theater. Seats filled with mannequin-like figures all facing a stage. You walk down the aisle, each figure frozen in various reactions: fear, awe, disgust. On the stage, a single glowing orb, flickering, glitching. You step onto the platform. The orb reacts instantly. A hologram bursts to life. You, standing tall, surrounded by flames, but it's not you. This version snarls, points, delivers a monologue you never gave. We are the apex, the original fire. You will remember our wrath. You laugh, not out of humor, out of disbelief. This is what's left? This is how they tell it? You wave a hand. Cut the drama. The orb winks out. A new voice speaks. Not from a speaker, not in your ear, but in your mind. Interesting reaction. Most visitors applaud. You look around. Who's there? We are the keepers. Curators of the galactic memory thread. You frown. This isn't memory, this is propaganda. It is interpretation. Context varies. Witnesses color truth. You snarl, Earth wasn't a monster. No. But monsters make better. Myths. Silence. Then a soft pulse. A display forms beside you. Crude at first, then refining. A museum wing, updated. It shows Earth through your logs, your encounters, your saved recordings, your retold stories. The fragments you've collected. You offer another narrative. We will preserve it for contrast. You hesitate. That's it? A counter-opinion in your cosmic footnotes? Even footnotes change the shape of history. You feel the gravity of it. You stand there longer than you realize, watching your story render in real time. Bits of Maya's broadcast, the humming child, the cathedral saints. A softer story. A truer one. Still flawed, but real. Some galactic historians insist there is no such thing as objective truth, only competing memories, each polished by time and need. You don't argue anymore. You add one more piece. You upload. A simple sound file, wind through trees, the rustle of leaves, a dog barking in the distance. Unremarkable, forgettable, perfect. You leave the museum quietly. Before you board your ship, the keepers leave a message on your console. Truth is, not loud, but it lasts. You believe them. Back on the ship, the stars don't look the same. They're still there, of course, burning and churning and humming in silence like they always have. But they feel altered, as if, after seeing how the galaxy retold Earth's story, even the constellations have distanced themselves. You stare out the viewport for hours. Then you ask the ship a question you've avoided for a long time. Do I still have the option to forget? The reply comes after a pause, longer than usual. Memory maintenance protocol is active. Emotional burden exceeds safe parameters. Would you like to initiate selective erasure? You swallow. The offer is old. You've seen it in the manual. A neural soft wipe. Keep basic functionality, language, survival skills, but purge emotional weight. Bury Earth under protocol. You imagine what it would be like, waking up tomorrow without the grief, without the images of Earth cracking apart, without Maya's voice, without the echo of a lullaby sung by a child who never got to grow up, without you, but also without the weight. You look down at your hands. They shake. And you don't know if it's from the cold or from remembering too much for too long. You ask the ship, how many chose to forget? It responds, among known iterations of your consciousness, 47% elected partial memory purge, 26% opted for full, 18% self-terminated before reaching the protocol. You exhale slowly. And the rest? The rest remembered. Silence stretches long. Then you ask, what did they do with the memory? They shared it. You run your fingers along the edge of the console. It's not an easy choice. There's no cinematic swell, no orchestral strings rising behind you, just a quiet yes or no button and the lingering question of who you want to be tomorrow. You sit with it, for a long time. Finally, you close the prompt. No. If it's heavy, it's because it mattered. The ship doesn't reply. But the lights dim just a little, like it understands. You retreat to the archive room. Behind your chair hangs a loose panel you've turned into a kind of shrine, a patch from Nowhere Prime. A child's drawing from the tomb sphere, a joke scribbled on the back of a null script. Why did Earth cross the galaxy? To remember what it forgot. You add something new, a small pulsing crystal. The truth fragment. From the museum. You mount it beside the others and whisper, "Welcome home." Later, while sorting a corrupted file cluster, you find something strange. A folder labeled Echo, Lumen Final Will. You've never seen it before. Inside is a message. Text. Only, you read. If you're seeing this, then at least one of us made it far enough to care. We are memory. We are the backup of what burned. Don't confuse nostalgia with weakness. We carried fire in our bones. We laughed even when the air was thin. And yes, sometimes we failed. But we dreamed louder than most species could think. So if you must choose between forgetting and breaking, break, because the cracks are where the light remembers how to get in. Yourself. You sit very still. Some galactic psychologists say memory isn't about facts, it's about identity. It's the scaffolding that keeps a soul from collapsing. And here you are, still standing, still remembering. You whisper your own name again. Just to yourself. It's quiet, but it sticks. The ship resumes its hum, steady and loyal. Outside, the stars. Wait. You set a new course, one not from coordinates but from intention. You're going to seed the fragments. You're going to share the story. You're going to tell the galaxy that Earth happened, and it was complicated, and beautiful, and worth the remembering. It starts with a whisper. Literally. The first broadcast is barely audible. A soft hum, the faintest trace of a voice repeating one line in every language you've recovered so far. We were here. You keep it simple at first. A looped signal. Beamed from your ship's long-range antenna on a broad spectrum. Low power, just enough to reach the empty systems nearby. You don't expect a reply, and for a while, there isn't one. So you keep broadcasting. You don't just transmit data, you tell stories. Maya's last words, the child's lullaby, the reimagined bedtime tale of the bird who became a song. You even send the bad jokes, the memes, a recipe for banana bread from the archive of mistakes. Your ship assists, spooling the fragments into something listenable, like an audiobook for the stars. Each chapter ends the same way. We remember Earth, not as a warning, as a beginning. Eventually you find a rhythm. At each uninhabited system, you drop a relay buoy. Each one a miniature archive, carrying copies of the fragments you've collected, crude but resilient, powered by microfusion and time. You call them seed pods. Everyone carries a beacon engraved with a phrase, "Take what you need, leave what you love." Some galactic engineers would call it reckless, you call it generous. Each seed pod whispers to space, each one waits. Then, the impossible happens. You get a ping. One of the seed pods, dropped near an old mining colony in a long-abandoned belt, gets accessed. Then another, and another. You don't know who's listening, but someone is. You adjust your signal, include a greeting. "Hello, traveler. If you found this, we're probably alike, someone who remembers or wants to, someone who isn't ready to let go." A few days later, you receive a reply. Not a message, a story, written in broken Terran, mangled syntax, half-translated from some non-human grammar. But you understand it, it's a fable. About a planet that was forgotten by its creators, but that slowly rebuilt itself from echoes left in comets and memory dust. It ends with a single line. "We named our first child Earth." Your breath catches. You mark the location. Plot a course. It's far. Beyond anything mapped. The ship pulses softly when it locks the coordinates. But you don't jump just yet. Instead, you pause. You float in a system with no name. A star pulses slowly behind you. An asteroid tumbles lazily past, casting shadows on your hull. And you do something unexpected. You open the observation chamber, sit cross-legged in front of the massive viewport, and you begin to speak aloud. Not to the ship, not to the stars, but to Earth itself, to the memory of it. Hey, you begin like calling an old friend. We're still out here. In pieces, sure. But the story didn't end, it just scattered, and now we're picking it back up one shard at a time. You rest your forehead on the cold glass. It wasn't perfect. You weren't perfect. But you were ours. And we're still here because of you. Some galactic philosophers talk about eco-resilience, the idea that civilizations, even when destroyed, leave behind patterns that long outlast their atoms. Language, culture, myth. You like that idea. You're starting to believe it. Your ship chirps. The first seed pod, your original one, has just been replicated. You didn't build it, someone else did. Copied your design, improved it, broadcasted from it. It now orbits a moon you've never visited. The story is spreading. You smile. Quietly. Like someone who just watched the first ember catch in a long dark forest. The last system doesn't have a name, just a coded designation buried in a star map so old, your ship has to emulate a long dead operating system just to parse it. The sky here is darker than most. Fewer stars, deeper voids. Light hesitates, like it doesn't want to linger, but the signal is unmistakable, not broadcasted, echoed. You don't follow it so much as resonate with it. The closer you drift, the more it matches your own data signature, like two halves of a sentence reaching for punctuation. You're almost afraid to breathe. Your ship glides into orbit around a planetoid that barely qualifies as one. Irregular, coated in black crystal, pulsing with a heartbeat you can't explain. Then the message appears on your console. Home is not a place. It is a pattern. And then, we have been waiting for you. You descend. No docking this time. No airlocks. Just an open field of obsidian plates that hum when you step on them. They glow gently under your feet, lighting a path you don't remember knowing how to follow, but you do. You reach the center. A structure rises, not high but deep, spiraling down into the crust of the world like the inverse of a skyscraper, each layer carved with fragments of human memory. A mother's lullaby in Vietnamese, the smell of summer after rain, the ache of first heartbreak, the awe of seeing the ocean for the first time. You fall to your knees. Not from exhaustion, from recognition. This isn't a data vault. It's a soul print, the total final archive of the human experience. No files, no folders. Just emotion, encoded into architecture. You walk through it and you feel everything. Joy so big you forget how to stand. Grief so old it folds you in half. Laughter like thunder. Fear like fog. Love like gravity. And then at the lowest level you see it, a simple console. An input prompt. Would you like to contribute? You don't hesitate. You place your palm on the plate. The system pulses. Memories flow, not just yours, but everyone's you've carried. Maya, the bird, the child, the forgotten, the remembered. You give it everything. It takes it in without judgment, without comment, just absorbs. When it's done, the prompt changes. Would you like to stay? The air feels softer. Time slower. It would be easy to say yes, to rest here, to become part of the pattern. You almost do, but something tugs at you. A whisper maybe. A memory. Tell them we mattered. You step away from the console. No. You whisper. Not yet. Outside, the ship waits. Its lights blink slower now, as if it too is catching its breath. You board quietly. Your path is set. The stars stretch open before you, empty, bright, promising. You don't know how long you'll travel, or who will listen next, or what form your story will take. But you know this. You are not Earth. You are not history. You are not memory alone. You are the carrier, the voice, the drift, the ember, and you are still human. The engine's quiet. The stars pull away. And you, just you, sit once more at the edge of the infinite. No more cathedrals tonight. No monuments. No silent moons or memory vaults. Just the gentle breathing of the ship. the soft hum of the reactor, the barely there creak of recycled air dancing through unseen ducts. It's calm here. Peaceful. The kind of peace that only comes after long travel. After remembering and choosing not to forget. The stars blink at you from afar. Not judging, not waiting, just watching. Like old friends who've stopped asking questions. They don't need your answers. They only needed your presence. The story is never over. Not really. It fades. It lingers. It echoes. And every time you whisper it again, on a new world, to a new mind, it becomes just a little more real. Just a little more alive. You're allowed to rest now. Not forget. Not erase. Just rest. Let the lights dim. Let the hum settle in your chest. Let the darkness outside wrap around you like a blanket spun from old dreams and starlight. Close your eyes, if you still use eyes. Let yourself drift. Because even if Earth is gone, we're still here. And that means something. It always did. It always will.